Yo, welcome back to Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach along with my co-host, Mr. Adi Wiley. We got my main man, Coach Marcus Floyd in the building, talking about the Chicago Bears. Go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube page, Spectator Sporting. Let's get back into it. We just talked about the quarterback, but there's some other positions besides quarterback going on with the Bears and a lot of the decisions that the Bears have to make on players. So we're just gonna talk. I'll start with you, Adi, on this one. Which Bear exceeded expectations the most this season?
Well, you know what? It's a guy that Bears fans knew very little or nothing about before the season. The center, Sam Mustipher. For the first half of the season, the Bears' offensive line looked like the worst O-line in the NFL, okay? The teams was good putting pressure on our quarterbacks without even blitzing. David Montgomery kept getting tackled for loss in the backfield, no gain and things like that. And so, but then our left guard, James Daniels, he tore his patellar muscle, he was out for the year. Then Bobby Massey, our right tackle, he was out for the year with a knee injury. And then Cody Whitehair, he injured his calf against the Los Angeles Rams. And that's when Sam Mustipher took over the center position. And in his first start, week 8 against the New Orleans Saints, that's when David Montgomery busted out his slump. He had 89 yards rushing against the New Orleans Saints, and Sam Mustipher definitely contributed to that. He got injured that game, finished the game, Sam Mustipher. But then in week 12 against the Green Bay Packers, Sam Mustipher and Cody Whitehair started their first game together, but they put my man Whitehair at left guard, his natural position, and kept Mustipher at the center position, and he became the leader of the whole entire offensive line. He's calling out schemes that the defense is running and stuff like that. And so with that combination going on, the Bears for the rest of the season, the last 6 games of the season, the regular season, the Bears averaged 144 yards rushing a game. And that was the big problem why the Bears wasn't having success, because they couldn't run the ball. And so it's great to see that interior line going on. It's pretty much established for years to come. His college teammate, Sam Mustipher, college teammate at Notre Dame, Alex Bars, was holding down the right guard position, but the offensive line coach, Juan Castillo, is saying that when James Daniels comes back next season, he's going to be at right guard, and Alex Bars will go on the bench. And so you got depth there at the interior offensive line. So it was just great to see Sam Mustipher come up there from Notre Dame, undrafted in 2019, from the practice squad, shoot up to a starting center and establish himself as a Bear center and our interior line looks good for years to come.
Yeah, definitely. The line definitely picked it up, and putting him in the game, that changed the offensive line completely for the rest of the season. Coach, what player you picked that's did better than you thought they was going to do?
Well, man, I didn't think alike, and he read everything on my notes. He read everything on my notes. But I will say Sam Mustipher was my guy, but usually when you draft somebody in the 5th round, you're just opening pops, and I'm going to go with Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney had 98 targets with 2 different quarterbacks. 98 targets for a 5th round rookie. That's a lot, and in some games, he was our featured player. So Darnell Mooney, nobody expected this from a 5th round draft pick. He had 61 receptions, 10 yards per reception, and 4 touchdowns. Darnell Mooney was definitely able to give them some different looks. He was drafted, and he was in the mold of Anthony Miller. So when Anthony Miller couldn't remember what routes to run, when he was doing all his couldn't remember to go on the field or anything like that, Darnell Mooney by week 3 or 4 was definitely our number two receiver. And I think as all we talk bad about Ryan Pace, we have to give him credit for finding a 5th round draft pick to become your number 2 receiver by week 4. So Darnell Mooney was definitely one of the players that by the end of the year, I'm sorry, we were like looking for him to make a play, where it was a screen, bubble screen, and obviously he was our only deep threat.
He was the only one. And then, Ryan Pace is great in the 5th round. He had Bilal Nichols in the 5th round, Adrian Amos, Jordan Howard. I mean, he does really good in the 5th round.
So, but Sam Mustipher is definitely number 1. I had to go with an audible because Adi read everything on my paper.
Well, that's true. Both of those players definitely contributed. I flipped that around though. For Mooney, when Mooney become the second number 2 receiver right away, that also shows what else is going on in the Bears receiving corps too. That also shows. That means Anthony Miller stunk. That means everybody else pretty much stunk, except for Allen Robinson. So
Williams probably would have been there, but he tried to become a UFC fighter.
I mean, we ain't seen Rick, and then we haven't seen
Riley Ridley.
Yeah. So either that or other receivers are terrible.
Yeah, Mooney was balling out.
No.
He was balling.
That was my player I picked too. Yeah. Same player. I picked Mooney as well too, because I will say, Pace this season, draft not looking too bad. I'm not gonna front. I gotta keep it a buck, because Jalen Johnson is another player. Mm-hmm. I think he's gonna be pretty good over there, cornerback. Yeah. I think Cole Kmet is gonna be good as well too. So he did okay in this draft. It might turn out to be a solid draft.
The safest draft.
Yeah, a safe.
He went safe this year.
He did win safe. Exactly. So, but Darnell Mooney definitely, he became the playmaker. I mean, they was running jet sweeps with him, going deep. I mean, in his hand, he don't drop passes.
That was his knock. That was what they were saying. The experts were saying that his hands wasn't all that when he come out and draft.
I didn't see it.
I didn't really see him drop passes. And then he went to Tulane, so it's not a really big school. Yeah. But the same school that Matt Forte went to. So another Bear.
So now it just makes you wonder, that play that they drew up in the playoff game, the little trick play, was that play originally supposed to be for Mooney? I'm sorry. I had to go there. I had to do it. Yeah. So, but that's just the reality of the situation. From what that's
he was injured.
Yeah, that injury, like Mark said, that's a 5th round pick became a major story injury for us in the playoff game. Think about that. So that shows that Mooney was balling out this year. You got to give him his credit.
And I got somebody else though, Cairo Santos. Okay.
I forgot.
Cairo Santos. He broke 2 Bears records.
Yeah.
Okay. He hit 93% of his field goals for the Bears.
Yeah.
He broke Roger Gold's record. It was 89%. He also hit 27 straight field goals, and he broke Roger Gold's record. I believe it was like 26 or something. Right. He has the record now, and Cairo Santos is a free agent. So the Bears got to pay him. He made us forget about Eddie Pinero. Eddie Pinero was supposed to be in that dude, but nah. Cairo Santos, he held it down. We got to get him.
And what was crazy, even it was up to week 3 or 4, they were still saying when Pinero come back from injury, it was his job. So I'm glad.
He never came back, man. Yeah.
He never came back. And you know what? Jimmy Graham had 8 touchdowns. He was tied for 4th amongst tight ends and touchdown catches this season, so with 8 touchdowns. So people hated on the Bears a lot for signing Jimmy Graham. He
was a good red zone target. There's no question about it. I mean, that last touchdown he caught.
I was one of the ones at the beginning of the year, like, what are we doing? Just signing him. But with that contract, and you're going to give me 8 touchdowns, I'll do it every day. Mm-hmm. I'll do it every day, twice on Sundays. Giving me 8 touchdowns. But I thought at the beginning of the year it was kind of heavy. But hey, 8 touchdowns.
All right, so now we talked about the Bears that maybe did okay, exceeded expectations. Which Bears players, coach, are you looking at like, what the hell was wrong with you this season? What's going on?
Well, last year for my 39th birthday, I wanted a jersey. I tried like hell to get this jersey that last week. I couldn't get that jersey. I wanted to wear a 39 jersey. I wanted to wear number 39 for the Bears. Yep. I'm not going to say his name. He became the highest paid safety, and then a couple weeks later, Buda Baker ended up getting a bigger contract or whatever. The highest paid safety in the NFL. A couple weeks later, Buda Baker ended up getting another contract. But Eddie Jackson was the man in 2018. Yep. Eddie Jackson was the man in 2019. Eddie Jackson was finding the ball. Eddie Jackson was running back in pick sixes, picking up fumbles. I don't know what happened in 2020. I hope it's not the pay, but Eddie Jackson was definitely not the same player. I watched week after week where it looks like he was avoiding tackles.
Yeah.
It looked like he was avoiding tackles. He was not on the ball. He was not making plays on the ball. And if you're going to be the second highest safety and one of the highest paid players on the team, you have to make plays. Yep. Not just be solid. It ain't just about, he didn't get burnt this game. We expect that from Gibson. But when you making that much money, you have to get your hands on the ball. Especially how the Bears offense was not producing, we paid this defense. To score.
Yeah.
Some teams could pay defenses just not to let teams score. But the Bears paid their defense to get their hands on the ball, to create turnovers, and to score. And Eddie Jackson should be that person. This year, I was not only disappointed with Eddie Jackson, I think he was one of our worst starters.
Absolutely.
I think he was one of our worst starters. It was several times where tight ends was going across the middle. He didn't want to hit them. There were several times that he didn't want to push people out of bounds, or he's pulled up early on the play, hoping they go out of bounds. Eddie Jackson did not bring the physicality that he usually brings. Eddie Jackson did not bring the playmaker. So I was very disappointed in my favorite Chicago Bear, Eddie Jackson. I said I wasn't going to say his name.
Hey, you're right. Eddie Jackson was, I don't know what's up with him. He got to do some soul searching this offseason because he's going to be back. The Bears got to really go at him like, look, dude, we're going to need, if you don't play, we're going to have to just cut you.
Restructure this contract or something. Restructure this deal.
Yeah, because that's unacceptable. From going supposedly one of the leaders of the team to playing like that, not trying to get out there and play. That's what it looked like. It looked like he barely wanted to play. So
and early on in the year, he did have some return for touchdowns that got called back. One, he argued for 2 weeks, all on his Instagram and everything. It was a clear pass interference.
Against the Giants?
And against the Giants, it was a clear pass interference. And one of them was kind of questionable. And I don't know if it was just the momentum. I don't know what it was. But early in the year, he was trying to go for it, get us some touchdowns or whatever. But the latter part of the year, he was terrible. Sorry.
No, you're right. No, that's fair. Like,
you're right.
He was awful. There's no question about it. Adi, what player are you disappointed? Who had a disappointing season for you for the Bears?
Well, it's a guy I never really wanted to join the Bears, but I'm going with the Super Bowl MVP, Nick Foles. All right.
I like that.
Before the season, I wondered, are we getting the Eagles version of Nick Foles, or are we getting the Jaguars version? Okay. And so when the Bears,
I forgot the Jaguars.
when the Bears benched Mr. Trubisky in Atlanta, and Nick Foles came in there and
savior.
Yeah.
Saved the day.
10 to 26. We was losing 10 to 26 in the third quarter. Game-winning touchdown pass to Anthony Miller. Looked like we was getting the Eagles version, but after that, it was all downhill. The man couldn't do a damn thing. He's very not elusive at all in the pocket. He has a very slow release on his throw. He got sacked 18 times. His accuracy was off. That's what really blew my mind. His accuracy was off, and he threw 7 interceptions. And so I'm looking at him like, damn, man. And since that Atlanta game, he was just totally bonkers. I'm like, wow, this guy is not wasn't worthy of that. We traded a 4th round pick for him, man. We should have kept that. We should have kept Chase Daniels. I'd rather have Chase Daniels than damn Nick Foles. You know what I'm saying? Bring him back, okay? And so I'm looking at Nick Foles out there. I'm like, damn, I can't wait for mediocre Mitch to come back. Bring back mediocre Mitch Trubisky in the game, okay? It took the Vikings guy on Monday Night Football, Odenigbo. He had to hit him and slam him on Monday Night Football and injure my man Nick Foles for Trubisky to finally get back in the game. So I never wanted Nick Foles, but I didn't know he was gonna be that bad. We had hope at Atlanta game, but yeah, Nick Foles, man. I want him to get out of here. I wish we can, but we under contract. He's like, he got too much dead cap on his salary, and so you really can't cut him. So he's gonna be our backup quarterback next year.
He's gonna be starting.
Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't start him, man. Don't tell me y'all picking Nick Foles over Trubisky. That would be nuts. I'll take Trubisky all day over Nick Foles. That's how bad Nick Foles was. He making Trubisky. I would be sad to see Trubisky leave if we got to start Nick Foles in 2021. That's how bad he was. That's how disappointing he was.
Man, I don't know. You might be disappointed.
I'm gonna be disappointed.
It's gonna be tough. Eddie Jackson was one of the ones. Nick Foles was definitely disappointing. The big free agent pickup, Robert Quinn. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, you had 11 sacks last year with Dallas. We brought you in to be the tag team partner with Khalil Mack, and it just It just wasn't.
Sack on his first play or second play?
Yeah.
Sack on his first or second.
Yeah, against the Giants.
Yeah, and he had a sack at the end of the year. I think it was just like
He had a sack against the Vikings against Kirk Cousins.
okay, he did have a strip fumble.
2 sacks. That's it. The whole
2 sacks.
The whole season.
2 sacks. All that money, the Bears gave up a lot of money to get that boy. We could, like you said, we could have used that money, got another receiver. We could have got another offensive line.
Half of that and gave it to Leonard Floyd.
Yeah, pretty much. And Cap Floyd, you could have just paid him the 13 and a half. Forget it. You know, so the fact that he came over here and stunk it up, I mean, it was just no pressure. It just wasn't working out. Maybe it's Soldier Field. Maybe he's not good on turf. I mean, on grass. Maybe it was, he used to playing on turf. Whatever it was. That did not
It's
work.
mind-boggling because it was the lowest amount of tackles for loss, sacks, and quarterback hits of his career. And the thing is, he only played 8 games in 2015 with the Rams and 9 games in 2016 with the Rams, and this still was his lowest amount of productivity of his career. He's on a contract next year. We got to stick with him. Ain't no cutting him. Ain't nobody gonna want to trade for him. So. We just got to only hope that he have a bounce back year.
This was my disappointment with Quinn. If you remember the Thanksgiving 2019, the Bears were playing Dallas, and the Bears came up with a formula how to beat Robert Quinn, run his way.
Yeah.
And everybody used that formula. Yeah. The Bears signed him, and guess what people did? They used the Bears formula. So not just he didn't have the tackles for loss, not just he didn't have the sacks, he also was a liability. In the run game.
Yeah.
He also wears Leonard Floyd, even though he didn't get the production, you couldn't run his way. And so that's why I think we miss Leonard Floyd. Not saying Leonard Floyd was I know right now he's still playing or whatever, but when you become a liability, that's when it becomes a issue where you only could play on down and distance with passing downs, where 1st and 10 and 2nd and 4, we know they're going to run your way.
He might be one of the most disappointing free agent signings in Bears history if he doesn't bounce back next year.
Yeah, if he comes back and has a big year and he gets 10 sacks, 11 sacks next year, all will be forgiven. But right now, oh boy, Quinn was awful. There's no question. That's 2 of our highest paid players on the defense that did not produce this year.
Agreed.
Eddie Jackson, no INTs. No fumble recovers. No,
he got a touchdown against the Rams.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah, he got a fumble recovery.
He did get a fumble recovery, but no INTs. That's pretty much it the whole season.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Robert Quinn, 2 sacks. That's over $85 million worth of contracts right there.
Yeah. I will say to put a positive spin to it against the Green Bay Packers, the last week 17. I did see Robert Quinn more active. He had 2 quarterback hits against Aaron Rodgers, and the thing is, Aaron Rodgers, no one's really saying he gets sacks 1 time a game. You know what I mean? So he did hit him twice in that game, and then against the New Orleans Saints, he had a quarterback hit against Drew Brees. He put some pressure on him. I saw him more active. I saw him. He did the last 2 games where it really counted. He did put some pressure. He didn't get the sack, but he did get some quarterback hits.
Well, he better step it up next year.
I got another guy for you though.
Who?
Buster Screen. Buster Screen. I'm telling you, I don't like the Buster Screen. All right. So look, one thing I noticed about Buster Screen, I noticed teams was targeting him, picking on him in the passing game.
Yeah.
He was targeted 64 times in the passing game. He only had 3 deflections, 3 passes defended. And the teams, when teams targeted him in the passing game, they had 125 quarterback rating against Buster Screen. Wow. So if the Bears cut him, they would save $3 million in the salary cap. He's due $6 million next year. And so I want to see the dude Vildor, the 5th round pick. I think he might be a solid guy. Duke Shelley had a decent game against the New Orleans Saints. I would like to see them take over the nickel spot next year. Buster Screen, his pass coverage was just, I don't know where he was getting picked on. I don't like it.
Yeah, he definitely was getting picked on, but when you got Jalen Johnson and Kyle Fuller on the other side, I mean, that's where you're gonna go. I mean, it just is what it is. So let's coach, let's talk about this. What is the Bears' biggest need besides the quarterback position?
Well, let's look. I wish I was in Ryan Pace's ear. I wish I would just have a car ride with Ryan Pace. But the Bears' biggest needs, I'm going to talk about 3 things. 3 things that their biggest needs, and they're all on the offensive side of the ball. The first thing, because Ryan Pace has struck out on Kevin White. And he struck out on, I'm going to call it right now, he struck out on Anthony Miller. He needs to draft the receiver. Darnell Mooney was great. We talked about him. He exceeded expectations, but I don't think he's a number 2. He'll be a great number 3. We need another deep threat. So that's the first thing I think our biggest need is. The second thing me and Adi talked about, the interior line with Mustafa, Cody Whitehair, and James Daniel is we're good for years with that group. But then now I think we need to start looking at a tackle. Massey, Fetty, Leno, all of those guys are getting really up in age. We could use some fresh blood for that offensive line. That's the second thing. And the third thing is, even though David Montgomery had a great year, he needs to get stale and maybe could get some more energy. If you look at every team that's left in the playoffs now, they have more than one running back. They have multiple running backs. So I think getting a receiver, getting an offensive lineman, as well as getting a running back will make whoever our quarterback is next year, him or her, I don't care who it is. Whoever our quarterback, this is only going to make their play better. Getting them another deep threat, getting them a running back to help out with the running game, as well as shoring up that line. So I think right now this should be and if you look at Ryan Pace's drafts, it's almost like it's kind of predictable. He's went like defense, offense, defense, offense, defense. And so if he's going to go that way, whatever he went last year, I think he needs to go heavy offense, some players that could play immediately. We don't need no projects. We don't need to draft up. We need to get some guys that could play immediately. And sometimes, I know Phil Emery used to think he could get players that he just will always go draft from big programs. Go do some research. Go find out if the players can play. You don't just have to draft from Florida, Florida State, Alabama, and things of that nature. So I think that's what we need to go early with. Once again, I said receiver, offensive tackle, and running back to help out whoever's going to be behind the center next year.
No question. Adi, same question to you. What's the Bears' biggest need besides the quarterback position?
Well, I'm going with offensive tackle. Okay, hopefully the Bears can get an offensive tackle in the first round of the draft. A few early mock drafts got the guy, Michigan offensive tackle Jalen Mayfield, and another Notre Dame guy, Liam Eichenberg, falling to the Bears at the number 20 spot. And so Notre Dame definitely produces a lot of great offensive linemen. You got the man Nelson with the Colts, and the Bears got a couple of them right now. And so you look at Charles Leno Jr., the left tackle for the Bears. He came off to a horrible start of the season. But towards the end of the season, he did improve his play when the Bears did that playoff push. Now, if Chicago wants to cut him, they would save about $6.3 million towards the salary cap. And also, Bobby Massey, he got injured. He missed like the last 8-9 games of the season because of a knee injury. He's the right tackle. And so now if the Bears cut him, they'll save $6.7 million towards the salary cap. Now, Jermaine Ifedi did bounce in there for Bobby Massey at right tackle. He came from Seattle. He played solid. He's a free agent. So there's a lot going on with the offensive tackle position. We don't know if they're going to cut both those guys or one of those guys. I don't really see the Bears cutting Massey and Leno. They might keep one of them. And Jermaine Ifedi shouldn't be expensive. They can bring him back. I like Ifedi because he can play guard and tackle. So he can that's a good guy that can provide some depth if people get hurt. And so now free agency, it's hard to know who's going to get franchise tag, who's going to sign with the teams. But I'm looking at a couple of guys. I'm looking at Carolina. They have a right tackle. His name is Taylor Moulton, and he's a pretty good guy. And the thing is, I don't know if the Panthers are going to let him into free agency, but if he does, the Bears need to jump all over him. And then you got my man Alejandro Villanueva with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a left tackle with the Steelers, and a lot of people are saying that they're not going to have a lot of money to sign him because Juju Smith-Schuster is a free agent. And so, hey, the Bears need to slide in there and grab him. If they do grab him, then you got to cut Leno. So I'm looking at the offensive tackle position to you got the interior offensive line set. Let's get the offensive tackle set. And then, like what Mark was talking about, the running back.
Yeah.
I don't like this whole Cordero Patterson as running back, as the backup to David Montgomery thing.
I can't stand
I don't really like it.
It doesn't work.
His longest run this season is 13 yards. He averaged 3.6 yards per carry. It's not working out. He's a wide receiver. It worked with Bill Belichick for some reason. It worked over there in New England, but in Chicago, it didn't work. So you look at Cleveland. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, nice combination. All right, the Vikings, Dalvin Cook, and they got Alexander Madison.
Yep.
Nice combination. You know what I'm saying? I want the Bears to do something like that. Draft a running back within the first 3 rounds. I pretty much completely agree with Marcus with that as far as like running back, wide receiver. Yeah, Anthony Miller punching people, and he's just too emotional.
He can't handle it.
He's too emotional. I would say Allen Robinson, he is a free agent. I would say do him like you did Kyle Fuller in 2018. They signed Kyle Fuller to a transition tag. You don't have to franchise tag him. Sign him to a transition tag. Remember, the Green Bay Packers signed Kyle Fuller, so when you transition tag somebody, you can just, the Bears can just match it. Like, okay, y'all want to sign Allen Robinson to this?
Whatever his market is.
Yeah, whatever his market is.
Whatever your market
boom.
is.
So yeah, y'all want to sign him? All right, we match it. All right, boom, you coming back. You got to play with us. So I think the Bears should transition tag my man Allen Robinson. So and bring him back and draft a wide receiver within the first 3 rounds. We finally got a first round pick. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Both of y'all make great points. I said left and right tackle. I mean, hey, listen, the Bears with all this unsureness about the quarterback position, one thing you need to have is that line together and be able to just to pound the football. That's what we got to do. That's why I think we need tackle, we need a running back, and we need a receiver. But running back and tackle is extremely, because I feel like if Nick Foles was really coming back playing quarterback, you really...
That's where my mind is at with this. That's where my mind is at. Just give them all the weapons and give them no excuses.
Yes, I mean, the Bears should be pounding the ball 40 times a game. I mean, that's just what it's got to be next year. I mean, that's how they're going to be good. Defense and running the football, because it just... You don't have the quarterback to go out there and throw the ball around and make spectacular plays and do all that. So you have to be able to run the ball. So left tackle, right tackle, and a running back. And also we need a receiver, though. We definitely need a receiver, because Anthony Miller, y'all spoken it already. He's done. I mean, I don't think the Bears are going to bring him back. It's just too much stuff that's with him, and that is another blunder on Pace's record. Let's just.
They traded up Anthony Miller.
Yeah, they traded.
He's only due. See, cutting him don't save you a lot of money. He's only due $1 million next year.
That's why he might be back.
He's going to be back. He's going to be back. Yeah. But it's just he won't get a contract.
I'll push him down to 4th wide receiver. I'll still draft a receiver. I can keep him just $1 million.
Yeah.
Draft a receiver.
Still paying out. But I'm calling it early. He still got another year to pan out, but we're calling it early.
That's what I think.
He's a very talented guy. It's just his mental. Yeah. I wouldn't really.
But I think we all agree with the offensive tackle, running back, and receiver. Yeah. And because we've seen these formulas that work in the NFL.
Yeah, we know.
We've seen these formulas that with the Los Angeles Rams, I watch the Rams so much, watch the Cleveland Browns, they don't give their quarterback a lot of leeway.
No.
They run the ball, and when it's time to throw, they move the pocket for them and everything. And so this formula works. You don't. I know you got the Lamars, you got the Patrick Mahomes, but there are some formulas that work where you could just keep your quarterback in a box and let everything else work out. Look, the Los Angeles Rams will not let Jared Goff lose that game for them.
Not just the Rams. Last year with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, they're not going to let Jimmy G. They're not going to let.
They was running the ball. They was like what?
Into the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl.
They made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they made it to the Super Bowl.
They was running that ball.
But it's everything. These coaches is not going to let these quarterbacks lose the game.
Yeah.
So the formula does work, and so that's what we'll like to see at Chicago Bears, because we don't know who's going to be the quarterback.
Yeah, so, you gotta come in. You gotta be a running football team, commit to it, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now Nagy, he doesn't like to run the football. He hates running the ball. But if he wants to be successful in Chicago, he's gonna have to run the football, and that's why you draft the tackles. Get you a running back. Get 2 running backs, 2-headed monster at least.
2-headed monster.
I mean, you got Tyreek Cohen coming back next year. He's coming back next year. So that's another weapon for you. But so
Patterson is a free agent. Cordero Patterson. So
I would bring him because he's
back for your special team.
For special team, he's great on special teams.
Yeah.
He actually made first All-Pro team as a special team. So I would bring him back. So